Hey, I'm Reed from ReliantTechnology.com. Thanks for checking out the video. I am wearing pink today. I'm very proud of that. It is spring, and I'm excited. I hope you are too. Today we're talking about growth in the theme of spring, and everything's growing outside and whatnot. If you're a storage administrator and IT director, one of the biggest challenges we hear about every single day is storage growth. We're growing like crazy. And if you look up a link on IDC, they'll tell you that most companies are growing at 60% compound annual growth per year. That means if you've got 100 terabytes of storage, next year you're going to have 160. It's a massive amount of data to deal with. And there's two tips we're going to give you today to help you deal with growth cost effectively. So let's get into it. If you've got an enterprise array in your shop, let's say you've got a DS8000 or an EMC DMX or a Hitachi USP, you buy this system, you put your most important data in it, Oracle databases, SQL, DB2, etc., and you fill this thing up. And you're like, I'm only going to put the tier 1 data on there and that's it. But you and I both know over time you've got these creepers and these other divisions that say I want to put my data on there too. And pretty soon you've got this tier 2 data on there and tier 3 data that's popping up. And maybe if it's not tier 3 data, maybe it's like copies of your tier 1 data like Oracle RMAN and stuff like that. If you're like most people, you could do an 80-20 analysis and look at this tier 1 system and figure out how much data on this system is tier 2, tier 3, okay? And let's say you had 100 terabytes. If you had 100 terabytes and 20% of the data was tier 2, tier 3, then you could consider putting that data and taking it out and putting it on a tier 2 system. Maybe you already own a tier 2 system or you buy one from us, okay? Here's what's going to happen if you don't do that. You're going to pay some money. You're going to pay some money to upgrade this thing. You're going to have to pay hardware costs, software costs. You're going to pay hardware maintenance costs for all that support. Typically, when you upgrade a tier 1 array and you add 20 terabytes, you're going to spend anywhere from $200,000 to $500,000. It really depends on this software. That's really the dependent number. Instead of doing that, a 20 terabyte system from us, from Reliant, would cost anywhere from $80,000 to $120,000. So let's say it's right in the middle of 100 grand. $100,000 versus a $200,000 or $500,000 upgrade for the same array. You can save anywhere from 100 grand to 300 grand on an upgrade. That's big money. Now let's think about, that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, let's say you've already got a tier 2 array in your environment, but it used to be tier 1. You bought this thing 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and you bought it for the most important databases you had. And at the time, these systems didn't have a lot of cash, so your sales rep said, hey, buy the smallest drives you can, you need the spindles for performance. So you bought the 72 gig drives, okay? Now you've got this thing sitting there, it's like a boat anchor, sitting in your environment, and you're like, I got to get rid of this thing. Okay, don't get rid of it. All you got to do is consider pulling out these small drives and replacing it with larger drives, let's say 300 gig drives. If you had a system, a modular system with 8 trays of 72 gig drives, you'd have roughly 8 terabytes of capacity in your array. If you popped out these drives and put in 300s, you'd instantly jump to 36 terabytes of capacity. Kaboom! No more system to put in your environment. You don't have to add another rack. You don't have to add any more, you don't have to zone your SAN switches again or anything like that. It's already in your environment. Just pop out the small drives, put in the big drives, and you quadruple your space. This is perfect for a tier 2 or tier 3 application or for storage requirements, maybe for DR or something like that. Here's a couple quick tips. If you find these interesting, you want to explore the options, you've got a thought in your idea, like maybe I can make this work in my environment, give us a call, talk to a storage consultant, or fill out the form on this page. Visit ReliantTechnology.com. Be happy to help you out. I'm Reed. Thanks for dealing with the pink shirt, and have a great spring. We'll talk to you soon.